Welcome back to the program. Tuesday will be Budget Day here in Australia. In Russia, it will mark V-Day, a national holiday commemorating Germany's surrender to the Soviet Union in 1945. But as the war in Ukraine rages on, Putin has scaled back many of the V-Day parades in what some say is an effort to hide the extent of Russia's military losses. Let's bring in Alexey Muraviev, Professor of National Security from Curtin University. Alexey, thanks for your time as always. Are the losses that significant that Putin would need to do this on V-Day?
I don't think it's because of the losses that a number of military parades across Russia have been cancelled. I think there are two reasons. One is obviously immediate security considerations and concerns, and I think that's probably the key driver behind the cancellation of parades in cities close to the front line in Russia's border regions. The second reason, I think, is because I think the bitter feeling that the Russians will probably experience this year, because there hasn't been any significant improvements on the front line. Yes, the Russians managed to regain the strategic initiative, but there hasn't been any advancements. Even the battle for Bakhmut continues, despite promises that the city would be captured by the 9th of May. So I think there is also a political element that is part of the consideration. And in terms of Russia's losses, yes, well, they are considerable, but we need to remember that Russian standing force is over 1 million personnel, so the Russians can easily draft conscripts or mobilize police units, volunteers to form the parade if we're talking about just numbers and boots on the ground.
Have you got any further insight as to what went on with that drone attack last week on the Kremlin?
Look, it remains a puzzle. Even some in Russia suspect a false flag, because everyone knows that the Kremlin is one of the most guarded sites in the world. I mean, if you wander around the city center in Moscow, particularly now, your GPS will start playing around because of all the electronic countermeasures. Approaches to the Red Square are closely guarded by the Federal Security Service, which is Russia's analog to the Secret Service. So an assumption that somehow a drone can fly across Moscow en route to Kremlin, approach the Kremlin, and only then, countermeasures would be employed, is a bit suspicious. Having said that, there have been reports by Russian opposition sources about sightings of drones traveling in high speed at low altitude in Moscow's region en route to Moscow, and apparently some residents were reporting them to the authorities, but because of the May Day holidays, no one was taking it seriously. So, and given the fact that Ukraine is about to commence its counteroffensive, or perhaps in the early stages of counteroffensive, a symbolic attack on the Kremlin with an aim to paralyze the will and create a sense of confusion and disbelief, because it kind of happened at the time when the Ukraine staged several successful attacks almost on daily basis, targeting sites, civilian military sites in Russia's border regions, would also make sense. So I would probably say it's a 50-50 possibility.
Yeah, another mystery in all of the drama of that ongoing conflict. Professor Muraviev, thank you for your time from Curtin University, as always.